from one of my good friends was one of the top online players 2015, 2016, and having coached poker players for the last couple of years, I have had two poker playing clients. You know that what I do is life coaching, and a lot of what I do is help guys make more money. And in the course of my coaching over the last year, I've worked closely with two poker players. I also played poker myself back in my mid-20s. Once I couldn't make any more money in trading, I was a prop trader and equities trader. Did a couple of articles on that over at revolutionarylifestyles.com. I moved into playing poker, and I let my godfather, I was making like $2 or $3 grand a month. My godfather talked me out of it. He said it wasn't a real job, and you didn't know if you were playing against bots. And this was like 12 or 13 years ago. Huge mistake. You know, I was sitting on a lot of cash from trading. I wasn't able to make any more money as a trader. And I really missed the boat on all those good, juicy years of poker. Okay, and that's one thing that poker players will tell me. It's not as good as it used to be. The fish aren't like what they used to be. There's a lot more sharks. Poker's not as hot as it used to be because, you know, it was a really big thing maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when everyone was watching these tournaments on TV. It's not as hot as it used to be. And there's just a lot less action. And the software is so good, it's sort of leveled the playing field a lot. You know, I had one client who used to do the algorithms by hand. You know, he would read the mathematics books on poker. Now everybody has an algorithm. So it's sort of leveled the playing field a bit, and the money perhaps isn't what it used to be, but it's still six figures. The top guys online are still making 500 grand or whatever it is. There's still a lot of money to be made in poker, and it's still a lot more fun than working a job or entrepreneurship. The first couple of years of entrepreneurship is terrible if you're a poker player. Okay, I know it's stressful. I know that you've got your own stresses and trials and tribulations, and losing your own money sucks. I've done both. It's a lot more fun to play a fucking video game than it is to be an entrepreneur. Don't confuse the two, okay? You're not an entrepreneur, but you're also not in that entrepreneur category. You're a poker player, and just because you might not be getting the money you used to, it still means you should definitely be going at it, okay? If you're making above $100 an hour, be going at it, treat it like your full-time job, show it the respect that it's deserved, save that money, okay? Yes, the games are getting tighter. Yes, you know, you might not be able to get six figures 5 years from now, but don't even worry about that. Just be looking at like the next couple of years on how to get after it, how to get your money, and really taking it seriously. So I've got 15 tips for you from both my experience and from the success that I've got working with clients. You know, I've taken clients from, you know, making 5 to 10 grand a month to making 30 to 40 grand a month. Okay, and this is where I would start. I would start with number one: plug up your life leaks. Okay, if you're going through a bad breakup, if you've got roommates who are fucking up your routine, if you've got depression, anxiety, if you're eating poorly, if you're not sleeping well, okay, we got to get control over those. That's the number one thing. And almost none of that's covered on these poker sites. You know, I was talking with a client about getting him into poker coaching, and we were looking around at the coaching, and it's all like, it's either YouTube gossip or like advanced technical stuff, okay, that you really don't need when you've got these other issues going on. Okay, if you're overweight, that's costing you money because you're not going to have the energy to be focused enough, you know, competing with someone who does. Which brings me to point number two, which is eat, train, and sleep like an athlete. Be up at 6 o'clock every morning. Do your workouts. Eat healthy. Train your body and your mind as if you were a pro athlete. I would say the same thing to anybody who's, you know, a salesman. I lived in the world of cutthroat corporate sales. You know, you're only as good as your last deal. You have to think like a shark to survive. And I would treat and train my body like I was an athlete because I know that I'm not going to be in there forever. You know that you're not going to be in there forever in poker. Maybe, you know, 5, 6 years from now, you'll be able to earn a cruisy 5 or 6 grand a month doing 3 hours of work a day. But right now we got to focus you on, if you're able to make 6 figures, or if you're making like 60 grand, getting you up to 6 figures, and just, eating, training, sleeping, like a pro athlete would, okay? Like a guy who plays in the NFL making 300-400 grand a year, he's not a superstar. He knows he's only got 4 or 5 years, so he's going to train the hell out of his body to make sure that he can get that money, because he knows that that's going to be securing his financial future, okay? And you want to be able to come out of poker, well, God willing, you get 10 years out of it, okay? But if you only get 3 or 4, you want to be coming out of this with, 100, 200, 300, 400 grand saved, okay? I'm not even getting you to worry about investing or anything like that. I would just stack that cash and prepare it for putting it into a high margin service business. Ton of information on my site on that, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/money. And when you do that, okay, you're not going to have to worry about cold calling or pitching people on the street. I've got a client right now pitching people on the street for personal training. Okay, it's because he doesn't have the money for marketing. When you have 100, 200, 300 grand in the bank, now you can do any service business because you can afford to be top 1% of spending, right? You can afford to drop 10 grand a month on, advertising yourself as a real estate salesman, or insurance, or selling marketing, or selling sales training. You won't have to, you can pay to advertise your YouTube channel, right? You're not going to have to crawl your way from the bottom. You're going to be able to go into any business with a huge head start, and having the most important skill, which is the ability to deploy capital. So you need to eat, train, and sleep like an athlete in preparation for that, okay? Number 3, understand your cycles and manage your expectations. Let's say you're playing good poker, and you're going into hands where you've got 60 to 70% chance to win, and you're only playing against fish. You're not playing against sharks at all, okay? You still have to understand that when you're playing thousands of hands a week, those 30% chance of losses are going to come to you, and it'll be like one day where you just eat dick for 4 hours. Fish are going to suck out. They're gonna do dumb shit, and they're going to catch it on the river, and it's going to happen like 3-4 hours in a row. You're just going to hit that run of bad luck, and the key is to understand and manage that, and just be like, of course this is happening, right? I'm not getting upset over a lucky break. I play enough hands, I'm going to lose enough hands, and there will be periods where I'm losing 3-4 hours in a row, okay? And I'm not results oriented, I'm process oriented, okay? As long as it's within the bounds of my system, this is supposed to happen. I'm not surprised, and I'm not going to go on tilt, and I'm not going to let my emotions cost me money. So anger, frustration, a lot of these times, a lot of the time come from unmanaged expectations. Like you're driving down the freeway, all of a sudden there's all this traffic, there's a parade or whatever, there's something going on, you're like, fuck, because you didn't expect it, okay? Had you expected that in advance, you're not going to be thrilled to be sitting on the freeway, but you're going to know what's up, okay? So you're not going to be thrilled that every 7 days, you have to eat dick for 4 hours and let a fish run a train on you and get some bad luck again and again and again, but it's going to happen, and you're not going to let it put you on tilt, okay? Actually, I'm going to add another point right here to my Evernote. Only play against garbage players. Number 4, if possible. Okay, I've got one client in Canada where it's not possible for him to play against straight fish, but he's playing against guys that he's better than. I've got a client of mine in America who we set up a poker system for him where he's basically a cheetah, and he's just hunting gazelles that fall behind the pack. Okay, he was losing a lot of money playing against through ego, because he was trying to play against other sharks thinking that he was better than them. I said, dude, even if you're better than them, it doesn't matter. Like, we could literally fill up your whole week with fish, because there was where he is, the location where he is, which I'm not going to tell you, there was enough fish for him to have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 hours of work, of playing time a week without having to play anybody good, okay? And it was just an absolute no-brainer, taking ego out of the equation, okay? Actually, I'm getting more ideas here. I'm putting that right in as number 5. Take ego out of the equation, okay? Take ego out of the equation, meaning number 5, take ego out of the equation. Stop trying to be like the best poker player in the world. Stop even trying to be a good poker player, okay? Fuck that shit. Literally, your job is just to extract money out of an ATM, okay? Focus on the kind of money you want to make. Focus only on the money. Take your ego out of it entirely, right? And think of yourself as an entrepreneur whose job it is to maximize revenue from your clients. Okay, your clients are the fish, and you're doing it without ego whatsoever. You're not browbeating a guy and insulting him so that he won't come, so that he's pissed off and will never come play with you again, right? You're not trying to play against sharks. You're not trying to play in games where you lose money because you think that you should be able to play in those games. You're not trying to play above your bankroll because your ego's trying to get you into a fight with a bigger dog to prove something. You're literally just extracting money from this thing. You're thinking of it like in terms of an entrepreneur, work output, being available to sell, meaning like sales is like you just being at the table, being polite to people if you have to keep them coming back to you. Not losing your temper at people because you might piss off a fish who doesn't want to play with you anymore. And not trying to be a good poker player, not trying to be a top level poker player, just focusing purely on income. I want to make 6 figures this year. I want to make 150. I want to make 200, right? And you've just taken the ego out of the equation entirely. Number 6, don't play above your bankroll. You can't afford the variance, especially on stuff like Omaha. This was a major problem for a client of mine because he couldn't afford the downswings. He's a great player, but it doesn't matter how good you are, you're going to hit some bad luck. You're going to hit a bad month. And, when you're pulling a lot of money out of your accounts and you're playing above your bankroll, that's enough to wipe you out. So as long as you're playing good poker and you're focusing on the odds and you're doing all the things on this list, as long as there's poker money to be made, okay, you're gonna be able to make that money.